Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is here, everyone. Thank you for joining me for a little bit more SPTV on this fine Thursday afternoon. Guys, Danny Masterson has come to the end of the road. His time in his temporary home in jail is over. He's heading to prison. The issue that needed to be resolved before he could head to prison was the issue of Danny's mysterious missing firearms. That totally definitely did not involve Ashton Kutcher holding on to a weapon that Danny had illegally given him. In my humble opinion, I'm just a layman. What do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. But anyway, this issue's been put to rest. Danny had, and I might get, fact check me on this, guys. But a few years ago, when Danny was ordered by the court as part of his terms of his bond to relinquish all of his firearms, he had about 23 of them. And someone representing Danny, I believe it was Thomas Mesereau, submitted paperwork. Even if it was Thomas Mesereau submitting paperwork that was filled out by someone else, basically claiming that Danny had turned in all of his firearms. Now, realize there was a reason that Danny was ordered by the court to turn over all of his firearms. It's because he was on trial for having committed violent assaults against women. So, of course, as a condition of him being allowed to be out on bond, he was not allowed to remain in possession of any of these weapons. And yet it turns out for the last 3 years, that is exactly what he did, was remain in possession of 8 or 9, depending on which paperwork you believe, weapons. And only now has he turned them over. I'm going to share with you some paperwork in no particular order here. This is what was gone over at a hearing just this morning. Here's a form from EA Firearms, to whom it may concern. On Thursday, November 30th, I turned over a Bushmaster XM15 E2S firearm with serial number to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office for destruction. I relinquished the firearm to Deputy Gutierrez. I was informed by Deputy Gutierrez that the relinquishment of the firearm for destruction was documented as case number Please do not hesitate to contact me should you have any questions or concerns. Now, I'm going to show you in a moment a list of all the firearms that were just recently turned over. I need you guys who are more familiar with this subject than me to let me know. Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments section, or shoot me an email at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. If he's got a list of weapons and he's turning some of them over to a licensed firearms federal FFA holder, federal firearms, what's FFL? Federal, someone who has an FFL, federal firearms license. But there's one weapon that he turns over to law enforcement. Does that mean, because to me what that means, please let me know, guys, does that mean that this is a weapon that was illegally modified, that was either, there was something illegal about this weapon that he couldn't turn it over to an FFL holder? He had to turn it over to law enforcement for destruction. I'm not aware of any other reason that you would turn it over to the police, the sheriff's office, for destruction, as opposed to just leaving it with the bundle of weapons that you were turning over to your buddy in Oregon. Okay, let's go back to these documents. I don't know what order they're going to come up here. Okay, here is the list of the weapons that were in question. Okay, now, guys, you see this one at the bottom here, this Colt, this 25 ACP. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny little gun. It's almost more of, what would you call it? A trinket, perhaps. Now, guys, on the show, The Ranch, the Netflix show that was currently, when Danny had all this stuff going down publicly and Danny was fired from the show, it was a show that was actively airing on Netflix. Danny's character was named Rooster. Ashton's character was named Colt. And Danny, I'm told, would collect all sorts of Rooster paraphernalia because he identifies with his characters, and it's just a thing that he does, as does Ashton. And it is my belief, my understanding, that Danny gave this little tiny, almost an amusement item, this tiny Colt, to Ashton, because your character is Colt and my character is Rooster. Now, look, could I prove that to you in a court of law? No. That's why I'm telling you it's my belief, it's my understanding, it's my speculation that this weapon, the reason this weapon wasn't turned over is because it was in the possession of Ashton Kutcher. So there you go, for whatever that's worth. Okay, let's see. What's next on this list of papers here? Okay, which one do we want to look at first here? Let's look at this one first, okay? Now, Kate Mangles is one of the attorneys representing Danny Masterson. Her father happens to be the attorney who represents David Miscavige. No coincidence there, I'm sure, right? So Kate Mangles, I am an attorney, duly admitted. Okay, we don't need all that. Attorney of record for Danny Masterson. On October 31st, the Los Angeles County Probation Department provided a firearms relinquishment investigation report. The report listed 10 firearms as not relinquished. The serial numbers are: I'm informed and believe that as of November 30th, 2023, all 10 firearms at issue have either been relinquished to a licensed individual with a federal firearms license, relinquished to law enforcement, or had been previously destroyed. Firearms with serial numbers were relinquished to an individual with a federal firearms license and are in storage with that individual. Now, I want you to keep notice that language, because we're going to revisit this in a moment. So they've been relinquished to the individual and they are in storage with that individual. Okay. A record of that storage is attached here too. The firearm with serial number L150806 was relinquished to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office for destruction by an individual with an FFL. A letter documenting the details of that relinquishment is attached here too as Exhibit B. Per the report received from the LA County Probation Department on October 31st, the firearm with serial number 12110 was reported as destroyed as of September 15th, 2015, and is listed as destroyed in the CLETS database. I don't know what that is. The relevant page of the report, page 18, is attached here too as Exhibit C. Guys, I don't know why a weapon would be destroyed. I don't even say that to be conspiratorial. I truly don't know. I've got a friend locally who has an FFL. I guess I could ask him. But I'm asking you guys, why would a weapon ever be destroyed? It seems like a simple question. Like, I could Google it. I'm just, thinking out loud here. I honestly don't know. Okay. So let's see. Let's go to this other document that we were just looking at. Okay, check this out, guys. This is the agreement of storage that was just referred to a moment ago. Let me try to zoom in on this puppy. And also notice that this thing of storage is only like, I don't know, less than 2 weeks old. Okay. So it's like the one thing that hasn't been addressed, the one thing, and I'm telling you this because I know from people who were there this morning, the one thing that was never addressed in court is, okay, fine. As of like the last 1 or 2 weeks, these weapons have finally been turned over to someone that fits the description of who they should have been turned over to 3 years ago. Where have they been in the meantime? Who had these weapons? Why? I'm speaking for myself here. Why does the court not want to know? It was very clear from a press conference, or at least from some interviews that Deputy DA Reinhold Mueller did this morning, that he does not know who has had these weapons all these years. Why? Because the information hasn't been provided to him. Why is that not something we're allowed to know? Which one of Danny's posse was illegally holding on to his guns in violation of a court order, in violation of the terms of his bond? Why can't we know this? Okay, so here's the storage agreement. Look, there's a monthly storage fee here, guys. There's something here that's not adding up, and I'm going to explain what I mean in just a second here. Monthly storage fee, number of items, 8. Okay, so he's just storing Danny's weapons. By signing this contract, you agree to pay TJ Gun Sales the above processing fee and monthly rate as long as firearms are stored in our facility. Also, you agree that in order to retrieve firearms from storage, you will need to fill out necessary ATF NFA forms, as well as pay state and or federal fees for forms. A 10% late fee per month will be applied for late payments, Okay, that doesn't particularly matter. Here's what I'm not understanding. I just assumed that these guns have been officially sold and relinquished, turned over, given, like, it sounds to this form, the way I read it, what I'm inferring is that Danny Masterson, or someone representing Danny Masterson, is still like the owner of these weapons, and they're just paying someone to store them. So they haven't really been relinquished, have they? Am I misunderstanding the definition of the word relinquished? I guess relinquished could just mean, okay, they're not in my possession anymore. They're in your possession. Store them for me. But it's not like these weapons have been gotten rid of. They're just being held by someone. I don't know. I feel like there's some piece of this I must not be understanding correctly. Because also check this out, guys. There is this is Daniel A. Burns. Daniel's spelled in quite literally the weirdest way I've ever seen Daniel spelled before. Okay, look at this. EA, to whom it may concern, this letter from EA Firearms was filled out by the owner, Aaron Ayala. Now, in one of these forms, I saw the address of, oh, here we go. Here. No, wait, I looked at this one. In one of these forms, I saw the address of the place that is storing these weapons. And it's not a coincidence that the address of where Danny Masterson's weapons are being held just happens to be a 20-minute drive from the private Scientology school in Sheridan, Oregon called Delphi. It is my belief that it is a Scientologist who is now holding Danny's weapons. It just happens to be a Scientologist who has an FFL. I don't know how all these pieces fit together really, but there's definitely been some illegal conduct on behalf of Danny and his crew in relation to these weapons. And I understand at this point, the judge might be like, guys, we don't care about this. What's done is done. Danny's got to go to prison. If shenanigans have occurred, shenanigans have occurred. The guy's going to be behind bars for the next 20 or 30 years. Can we just wrap this up, please? And maybe that's what's going on here. And to a certain extent, I guess I can understand that. Because this channel is dedicated to exposing crimes and abuse on behalf of Scientology and Scientologists, I happen to be particularly interested in what sort of illegal activity has occurred over the last 3 years with respect to these weapons and which individual Scientologists have been involved. I obviously care more about that than the judge does. and I wouldn't hold it against the DA if I care more about that than the DA does. Let's be honest. The DA's job here is done. Danny Masterson is going to prison. And yet Scientology still has very, very much more to fear from Deputy DA Reinhold Mueller because, remember there was a whole bunch of obstruction of justice that occurred with respect to the Danny Masterson affairs, the entire tale. And there's a grand jury investigation that is open by many reports into obstruction of justice on behalf of by Danny Masterson, by David Miscavige, by Scientology, by Julian Schwartz, by Kirsten Catano. And shenanigans like this, BS like this, like illegally holding on to firearms for 3 years when a guy's on trial for violently assaulting women. This is the kind of stuff that, in my mind, gives Deputy DA Reinhold Mueller all the motivation he needs to be to see all of the Scientology matters he's involved with to the very, very bitter end. So hopefully, if any other information about who was involved in all this illegal activity, if any of that information does come to light, obviously, I will do videos about that. But as of right now, it seems like this is a settled matter. And Danny's heading to prison, folks. And once he officially heads to his forever home, I am told we will finally get the mugshot of Danny that we've all been waiting for. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Let me see. Dan Mosqueda has a comment here. Any handgun is going to be much more strictly controlled in almost every jurisdiction. Even an elf-sized firearm has to be registered. Yeah, I definitely understand that. Guys, I got a big interview that I've been dying to do for a few years coming up. I'm going to do a live interview on my channel in about 30 minutes. Stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button. Guys, channels YouTube-wide have continued to report their subscribers. Many of their subscribers are being auto unsubscribed. So just double check that subscribe button. You might be surprised what you find there. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last 14 minutes. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,